I know you're also passionate about the human condition and the human experience. Talk to me more about that.
The strength of the filmmaking, it strikes a chord in you, a familiar note, or calls up another experience that is similar in some way, because at the end of the day, we all kind of are going through the same things in a way. I think that's really beautiful.
Many of us move to Los Angeles to pursue a dream of breaking into the film industry. We get to know our beloved characters on screen, but who is the person behind the camera? I'm your show host, Olivia Lyle, and welcome to Coffee and Conversations. Tiara, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Absolutely. Before we jump in, we always like to ask our guests what your go-to coffee is.
Oh, that's a good question. Okay, so my go-to coffee is a hot, whatever the largest size is, hot caramel latte with an extra pump of caramel and oat milk.
Yum.
Yeah.
You like it nice and sweet.
I do, yes. It's not sweet enough. I don't really feel like it's coffee for some reason.
And I'd love for you now to share your heart with us and tell us who you are, where you're from, and what you do.
I'm from Texas. I grew up in like the Dallas suburb area of Texas. So Louisville is where I went to high school, Louisville High School. Go Farmers.
Yeah.
Grand Prairie, McKinney, Frisco, those kinds of areas. And then I moved to Austin whenever I went to college. I went to St. Edward's University, and that's where I fell in love with acting. I actually went to college to be a social worker at first, and then I really wasn't connecting with the coursework or like the people around me in that field. And I knew that something art related was what I really wanted to do. But I didn't really have, and I honestly always had acting in the back of my mind, like just growing up, being a kid, loving movies and watching movies, but I never had quite the courage to really declare that I want to be an actor. Like I just was too shy or like just timid to really decide that. So when I was trying to change my major from social work to something more artistic, I ended up picking photography because I'd always taken photos growing up and I just liked photography and like the idea of maybe being a photographer one day. And the fine arts building ended up being the photography classes ended up being right across those, what's it called?
Hallway.
The hallway, thank you. Right across the hallway from all the theater classes. And I also sing a bit, so I joined the show choir and all my
sound
friends.
like a singer.
Do I?
You have such a crystal clear voice.
Oh, thank you. Well, all my friends were in theater because I was in the show choir with them. And so I just ended up taking a class for non-majors there. Totally fell in love with it. Got really close to the professor, Leighton. And just from there, I just knew I really wanted to be an actor and that I felt really validated that I could see that I had a bit of talent for it and I had like a knack for it. And that gave me the confidence to really go for it. And then I ended up moving to LA in January of 2022 because my sister, who is a writer, filmmaker, got a job on a show as a writer out here. Writer's assistant at first, actually. But now she's a staff writer, so she moved up. But so we ended up moving up out here together because we're both trying to be in the industry.
That's a good combination, right?
Yeah, so that's how I made it out to LA.
Did you ever act as a child at all?
Never. I was like a middle school play at one point.
Very cool, very cool. What kinds of characters would you like to play as an actor?
I really love women that are multifaceted. I really love women of color that aren't one type of women of color. Like I feel like Black women especially can find it difficult to get to play the different shades and like hues that Black women exist as in the world within the acting world. So I'm definitely really passionate about playing like awkward bookish Black girls or like science nerd Black girls or just like Black girls that you don't normally see in the media or in shows. And one thing I always say actually is a dream role that I would love to have is, if you've ever seen the show Rain that was on the CW in 2013. Okay, well, Adelaide Kane is an Australian actress who I adore, was the star of the show called Rain, and it was about the life of Mary, Queen of Scots, and just like her life running around in the olden times, and she got to wear pretty dresses all the time and kiss pretty boys, and that would just be the best job ever.
Yes, especially those dresses and the corsets.
Exactly.
To walk around and wear those on set every day.
Exactly.
I'm sure they can't read, but
it's worth it.
It's worth the pain. Pain is beauty, but not.
Yes.
And I know you've booked a couple of roles. You've been in a couple of short films. What is one of the most challenging roles that you've ever had so far?
Ooh, one of my most recent ones, I starred in a proof of concept pilot presentation called Real Love. And what was challenging about this part is that it's more a comedy than it is drama, even though there are some dramatic elements. Like, I'll just go ahead and run over the plot. It stars a young woman, a young school teacher, my character, who finds herself, well, first, she doesn't really have a lot of experience with dating, with love, in relationships. And she ends up getting cast in a reality TV dating show. And the story picks up kind of at the aftermath, or like just after they finish filming. And she ended up getting engaged to another contestant on the show. Then she finds out that he isn't really who he says he is. He wasn't really coming to the show with pure intentions. And we kind of see the beginning of the aftermath of that. And what I found challenging about this role, even though I felt really connected to my character, because I also don't have a ton of experience with love and relationships. I grew up in the church. I really was quite sheltered and just strict about like dating in general, and just I didn't have a ton of experience like even talking to other guys or like having guy friends growing up. So I really resonated with just her naivety and just her inexperience, and her, I think one of the things that I said in like the casting process was that I really could see and relate to the treachery of inexperience and how it makes you vulnerable to men who maybe don't have the best intentions with you, or like people who you can be really easily manipulated, I feel like, when you don't have a lot of experience. And so I really related to her, but I found the comedic elements that came with the performing as her difficult, because I'm more so a dramatic actress, I feel like.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, doing comedy I would find difficult as well.
Yeah, it's totally different beasts. Like it's so different, and it takes so much more skill, I feel like.
Yes, the delivery to
yes.
make someone laugh.
Yes.
I don't know.
Exactly. And I feel like I can be funny like in my life, but it's hard to take written words and make it funny, I feel like.
Do you have any upcoming projects on the horizon?
Yeah, I am starring in the upcoming music video for the artist named Sunday Bakare. The song is called Safe from his new album, A Sunny Boy. And I won't share too much of like the content or plot of the music video, because I know that Sunday wants to leave things open to interpretation, and he is just really big about evoking a certain feeling when the viewer watches. So just stay tuned on my socials, and hopefully that'll be coming out either, if not the end of the year, then by early next year for sure.
Wonderful. We'll be on the lookout.
Oh yeah, there's one more other project as well. My sister, actually, we filmed a short film at the end of last year, and I star in it, and it's called A Preacher's Wife, I believe, because it was a different title when we were filming, but I'm pretty sure the new title is A Preacher's Wife. And it follows a young woman my character, who just got engaged to a newly appointed preacher at this like established church. And she discovers something quite disturbing about her fiance. And at the end of the film, we just kind of get to see her make a decision about how she's going to respond to that.
Ooh.
Yeah, say that.
Your sister wrote it?
Yeah, my sister wrote it. It was our first time working together too. So.
And how was that?
It actually went really well. I really was expecting, because we are such different people, even though we are passionate about the same thing. We are very, very different young women, but we work together pretty well. And I'm definitely excited about future collaborations, and I definitely support anything she does. I think she's genius. And so I'm definitely excited that she let me shoulder her next project.
Your parents must be proud.
Yeah, they're definitely excited. They're happy we're together too, that we're out here in this faraway land together. That definitely brings some comfort.
Yeah. I know you're also passionate about the human condition and the human experience. Talk to me more about that.
Another thing that I almost majored in college was just, what's it called? Psychology.
Oh, okay.
Was psychology, because I am quite passionate about just what makes human beings, like how our minds work, how our emotions work, how we show up in the world. And I love stories that kind of center on that, or just really dive in and dissect the human condition, the human experience. And it doesn't necessarily have to be, I like films and projects that are quieter, like more slice of life, or more of a dissection into something really more minute or less grand or actiony or whatever. Because it's such a universal experience being alive, but it's still such a very vast and, what's the word? It's different for each person, but it's still in some ways is the same for each person too. And I feel like it's really cool when films can illustrate that and can have a situation that someone has never gone through, but because of the performances of the actors, because of the strength of the filmmaking, it strikes a chord in you, a familiar note, or calls up another experience that is similar in some way, because at the end of the day, we all kind of are going through the same things in a way. And I think that's really beautiful. Like one film that comes to mind is Past Lives. I forget who directed it.
Yes, I know that.
Yeah. It's like an Asian American woman or Asian immigrant woman, and I forget all their names, but it's basically about a woman who fell in love with someone as a child and then ended up moving to America. They get reconnected. She's already married, but there's like a connection there. They kind of share some time together, and at the end of the film, you see her sort of grieve what could have been. And even though I've never been through that, I think everyone has been through a sort of missed connection, wrong time sort of situation, and it just strikes that chord in you when you watch it, and it's a very powerful thing that films can do.
Yeah, I feel like your views on the world trickle into your poetry. I checked out some of your poems this week. I love everything in me desires what everything in me is terrified of. Bang on. Talk to me a little bit about your poetry.
Yeah, my poetry, it's kind of a new-ish thing, like as far as like posting and sharing and creating content about it. I first dabbled in poetry when I was in college, doing an alternative processes course through photography. It's kind of a long story, but I created cyanotypes that had my original poem screen printed onto them, using sunlight to expose the paper and then develop it, and it kind of creates this blue look to it, basically. And so that's kind of what inspired the look of my poetry account, which is anonymous, but which all the blues and everything like that, all the like cards or whatever they're called are blue.
Yes.
Because of that.
Oh, wow.
But I started the poetry account actually out of kind of like an emotional necessity at that point in time of my life. I was going through some things and I really needed an outlet that was for my emotions and for processing things, but also that was something that I could have full control over. I think with acting, it's definitely an outlet as well, but it is so unpredictable, and it is so, a lot of it more so than not, dependent on other people to kind of making decisions for you, or like you're kind of relying on someone else to allow you to access a certain whatever through acting. And so I really gravitated and just needed and yearned for something that was mine and that I could control. And something that wasn't front facing was also really important to me too. So I didn't have to worry about how I looked, or like looking at myself or judging myself or worrying about what other people were going to be thinking if they read it or anything like that. Or even just like on a day-to-day, like if I wanted to post a poem, I didn't have to like get dressed or put on makeup or like whatever. Like that to me was really important too. And so, yeah, I just started dabbling into it as like a sort of self-therapy kind of thing, and ended up really liking it and really finding a great community of writers on Instagram. There are a ton of amazing writers on Instagram that I think all across the world too, which I think is so cool to be able to connect with those kind of people too.
I love your style of writing. I really connected with your words.
Thank you so much.
Going back 10 years, what would you tell your younger self for encouragement?
Oh, 10 years ago. Oh, okay. I was 18. Wow. That's
Little
twice a
baby.
year. Yeah. I would say, Tiara, like, you know who you are and you know what you want. Don't be so influenced by the outside. Don't be so influenced by other people or what you think you should be doing or how you think you should act or how you think you should dress or what you think you should be watching or listening to, or like just follow your inner like heart and your inner moonlight. I think that's an Allen Ginsberg quote. Follow your inner moonlight. Like, let yourself guide the way. Like, you know what you want and what you're about, and just stand in that and you'll be all right.
Beautiful. Okay, I want to finish off with just a couple of fun, quick questions.
Okay.
Favorite place to eat in LA?
I love breakfast food. And so there is this country diner in Culver City right next to where I go to church. It's a very much like vintage feel and look country diner. And the breakfast food is so good there. And they have a kind of like old-timey diner like look and feel on the inside. And they also only take cash, and they use those like, it's not even that old. I'm like, I'm crazy about it, but it's like, I would say vintage like receipt thingies that don't really give you the itemized list or whatever. It's kind of like written on these weird little pads.
Love it.
And I just think it's cute. But yeah, I love breakfast food. So
Favorite vacation spot?
my favorites have been in the desert landscapes for sure. Like in West Texas, out by Big Bend National Park, out by Marfa, and of course in California, Joshua Tree, like those kinds of landscapes have been, I've had such healing times just in wide open spaces like that, and seeing the mountains like out on the horizon, and just clean, crisp air and the quiet, and just, I love those kinds of landscapes. So yeah.
Okay, favorite hobby?
I would say, honestly, I'm a homebody. Like, I'm a huge stay home and chill person. So I love being home, watching whatever thing I'm super obsessed with at the time, and ordering food to my apartment.
Sounds good to me.
That's my favorite thing to do.
Nice and cozy.
Yeah.
So. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I've honestly loved getting to know you. You're a beautiful, beautiful soul.
Thank you.
And I wish you all the best moving forward in your career in crazy Los Angeles.
Thank you so much. I was so much fun being here. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining us for Coffee and Conversations. If you're new here, you can watch our previous episodes above. You can also follow us on social media in the links below. And please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. If you'd like to be a featured guest on Coffee and Conversations, send us an email and let us know you're interested. I'll see you next time.